Yo, how y'all doing? You heard about a guy, Nick Ryder, right? Because family dad, a big old movie producer in LA. Well, insiders suppose that he's pretending to be a baby in jail, as insider sources reveal he's talking like a baby, acting like a baby. Don't know if it's true or not. But before this happened, he's acting like he's a grown person. So, really don't know what's going on with the thing. But I truly do think, there's something that's weird here. Because the dude was getting like 10 grand as a monthly allowance from his dad. I mean, Jesus Christ. Plus staying in their own home, the little, what do we call, pool house. Must have been a really good sized house, pool house or something, because you know how movie stars are. They go big when they buy homes. So yeah, it just, the signs were there. Okay, he said he goes crazy when he don't get his way. He said it on live TV right beside his dad. The signs were there, but I think from a parent's view, no matter what the kids do or no matter what the kids cause, that's still the kid at the end of the day. So that will pay what led up to him to getting killed. He killed his own dad, his own mom, stabbed him to death, and everything. So yeah, being a rich person, your dad's rich and a big movie star, so yeah, you maybe went off the deep end. But I'm not saying that gave him the right to do that. It just, parents gotta be careful with the kids. Let's watch the video, shall we?
Has so many interviews with that dude. That's crazy.
I don't remember any of it.
He was kind of forgettable and unlikable.
Yeah.
There was something about him. And listening this morning, it seemed like you kind of sensed that unlikability.
Man, listen, there's a lot going on behind the scenes with Mr. Nick Reiner, okay? We've been covering the story for probably about a month and a half now. We've been keeping up with it. And lately, there haven't been too many headlines. There haven't been too many check-ins with the media. But behind closed doors, there's a lot of movement happening with Nick Reiner. While he's been given time to kind of settle in, he's been making a few moves and he's been talking to a couple of people, and now there's a lot of reports coming out about how he actually is in real life off of the drugs. Now remember, there's been a narrative that's been being pushed for a while now that Nick Reiner had his medication thrown off and he was just in a state of psychosis and that's why he killed his parents. I always said that was bullshit, okay? If anybody knows Nick's personality, you go ahead and take 30 minutes to listen to his personality, you know that he's a dope fiend. 100% any drug that's available, he'll take. He's one of those multi-drug users. Some people only smoke weed, only drink alcohol. Some people indulge in a little coke. Some people do meth and heroin, but everybody has their own thing and they stay in their lane. Nick Reiner is a multi-fiend. He will use any drug available. So I always said that the whole medication mix-up or the change in his medication was bullshit. And we're starting to see a lot of accounts now as to where that theory's starting to hold up. Because now the theory is shifting more toward a meth-fueled rage. Now again, people do meth all the time and they don't kill people. But if you're susceptible to that type of behavior, and then you're also doing meth, oh yeah, a little spoiled brat from the fucking hills with rich-ass parents, I could see that coming a mile away. To smoke a little meth, to snort a little meth, however he does it, and go crazy on your parents, because that's how you felt your entire life anyway. But anyways, before we even get to the whole meth-fueled rage, I want to take this thing way back. There was an article by the New York Post, and they explained how much of a troubled child he was from yay high. You understand what I'm saying? Let's go ahead, run the intro real quick, and I want to read this article real quick before we get into this video, exposing, Nick Reiner's frequent visited locations. Let's go ahead and do this shit. So I've been real busy, folks. I'm not gonna lie. I love you guys, and I'd be posting content every day if I could. But I've had some things I've been handling. But now I've been able to kind of sit down and go through the internet. There's been a few articles about Nick Reiner that pinpoint all the shit he's been into since a kid, and then there's gonna be today, current time, proof that the things he was doing as a kid spiraled over into him being a fully blown drug addict, going to Exposition Park buying meth off of people. It's a crazy transformation from being a little jackass kid to where he is right now. But let's start. Nick Reiner threw quote unquote terrifying tantrums as a child that escalated when he struggled with drug abuse before he was charged with murdering his mother and his Hollywood icon father, Rob Reiner, according to a family friend who has known him his entire life. The outbursts were so violent that Nick Reiner often had to be physically held back by his father, with the unidentified lifelong friend telling the Daily Mail of seeing so much anger in his eyes even as a kid. Now again, mind you, I think I started smoking weed at 16. Rob Reiner sounds like he probably started off with weed at like 12 or something. That's what it seems like. And then we don't even have to guess. He went on that Dopey podcast and he explained that he was doing pills. So let me reel that back in. He was doing pills before he got into weed and then the harder drugs and all that other shit. You know what I'm saying? I can't. I don't want to get on the parents like that because they're dead and gone. So rest in peace. But something must have been a real loose in that house. The rules must have been really loose in that house. Even the people on that Dopey podcast that Nick Reiner went on to don't really like him like that. I'm gonna show you a clip.
Has so many interviews with that dude.
That's funny because I don't remember any of it.
He was kind of forgettable and unlikable.
Yeah.
There was something about him. And listening this morning, it seemed like you kind of sensed that unlikability to a certain degree.
What did you listen to?
I was skimming through and trying to find all the Nick Reiner clips. I could probably send you. There's obviously a few pretty valuable clips here. There's one where he says he regrets blaming his parents as much as he did.
Right.
And I think that one's really valuable. Probably.
Can you send it to me?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the people on the podcast that he went on were supposed to be his friends, but if you describe somebody as forgettable and sort of unlikable, you have some work to do. I hope people don't say that about me when I leave the room. Oh yeah, he was sort of forgettable and unlikable. That's fucked up. But that's the way Nick was living because something was off about him. You know what I'm saying? Again, I don't want to blame the parents too much, but if you have to physically restrain your son, I've never been physically restrained by a family member. I'd probably be 6 feet under. What are you talking about? You have that much disrespect for your elders that you have to be physically restrained? Fuck out of here. But let's continue. I remember seeing so much anger in his eyes as a kid. Many of the family fights had to do with Nick just doing something self-destructive and fighting back when they tried to help him. The friend said of his own dad and mom, Michelle, who was also stabbed to death Sunday. Oh, look at this picture. That looks like, I think that's young Nick right there. That's young Nick. Look at that, with his stupid ass hair. He was a creep back then. Fucking creep back then. Unknowingly. And he had himself a very, an attractive wife too, a good career, life was beautiful, daughter doing well, other kids doing well, and you just have one little dipshit in your backyard, in your guest house that he destroyed, mind you. He destroyed the guest house, just started breaking shit one time because he had a meltdown. And you have that destroy your entire career. Well, not your career, just your legacy, your life that you built. You have that destroy it? I'd be so pissed. I'd be pissed off in the afterlife. Punch in the air. Punch in the air. Let's continue. It did get physical sometimes. I'm not talking punches, but restraining him. I was over there. It must have been early 2000s. because he was about 11 and he was throwing the biggest tantrum, and Rob Reiner just held him and bear hug restrained him. He continued. The tantrum was over nothing, but he had so much anger in his eyes. It was terrifying, really. And this happened a lot. He never outgrew it. He had tantrums in his 20s. The friend who had spoken with Nick's grieving brother, Jake, this week, believes that Reiner, 78, and Michelle, 70, babied, quote-unquote, their son, who spent most of his life in and out of rehab programs. And I went ahead and, did my due diligence to clarify those rehabs. I've gone through other videos and shit, man. I've gone through just to make sure. They were spending $70,000 a month on them damn rehabs. Number one, those rehabs need to be investigated, because what the fuck are you charging $70,000 for a month? That just sounds like that sounds fishy to me. I don't think there's anything much worth $70,000 a month, much less a rehab facility. But anyways, they were spending that much money on this cancer to their life. Man, listen, they needed to cut him out years ago. Let him be homeless. You could go drive down and see him on MacArthur whenever you want to see him. They could have easily drove down to MacArthur Park to go see him whenever they wanted to see him. He would be right out there doing his meth. Anyways, I'm getting pissed off. Let's continue. So there was another report that dropped, right? And this is where they're saying, he's a childlike person. So we're going to show the video. TMZ covers it, and they get some insider info. But this is what the New York Post said. A new TMZ Investigate special on Fox Nation claims Nick Reiner is in no mental state to stand trial for alleged murders of his parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner, as the program reveals new details about his mental state, medication changes, and the case against him. He is, quote-unquote, he is not competent to stand trial right now. He is almost childlike in jail, we're told. TMZ executive producer Harvey Levin told Fox and Friends on Monday. Now, I'm not going to read this entire thing, but I just want to point that out. Multiple sources are saying the same thing, and you already know that they're trying to run with this narrative when you start hearing big outlets say the same thing, okay? We've seen it during COVID. We've seen it during every election cycle known to the United States. Whenever they start to repeat things amongst themselves, and it's just the talking point, they're trying to get that narrative stuck in your fucking mind. If you don't know that, wake up, people. Wake up, okay? So now we have Fox, TMZ, allegedly, apparently, and the New York Post all using this one phrase, childlike. Oh, he's in a childlike state, like goo goo gaga, like he's sucking his thumb. Fuck out of here. I don't want to hear any of that shit. He's probably sobering up and acting a little weird, but childlike is not what I would call it. So again, New York Post said it, Fox said it, and now we're about to go check out TMZ. I believe they broke the story first. They're talking about his whole childlike approach to things, and I feel like it's just a load of bullshit. I feel like this is the money coming into play, trying to save the Reiner, maybe the Reiner reputation, maybe the powers that be or the family behind closed doors just want this to go away as something a little more mild than it actually was. But let's go ahead and listen to this.
I will tell you this. I talked to somebody who has interviewed him face-to-face at Twin Towers. And I will tell you that as recently in the last 5 days, that he is, at least when he was meeting with this person, he was in such a kind of a docile, just kind of puppy-like way about him, that he was, that literally was the almost complete opposite of the state of mind he would have had to have been to have committed this act. I am telling you that it was described to me as somebody who was almost toddler-like in where his state of mind was, and the incomprehension as to the act itself was almost incomprehensible to the person he was meeting with.
So, oh my God, it's just a different person. Oh, he's a different person now. Let's just fucking free. You know what? No, damn it. Let's send him to another rehab facility that costs $100,000 a month. And after about 5 years, let's just reintegrate him back into Hollywood. Let's do it. That's what it sounds like to me. And again, these guys are getting the information. So it's not like they're pulling it out of their asses. You know what I'm saying? They're just repeating the information that they received from the source. That's telling you a lot about where the family is, or where whoever's controlling this whole thing is thinking. But at the end of the day, I don't think any of that's really gonna save him per se. But you fuck around, you'll see Nick Reiner get out of jail. It's probably because of this narrative that they're pushing. They're doing their best to create something that doesn't put him in jail for the rest of his life. Because, after a while, it doesn't happen often, but after a while, if they deem you clinically fixed, they might let you go. It doesn't happen often, but it's happened before. And I think that's what, the Reiner section is going for.
That's interesting, because I was told by somebody who was in a similar position that he knew what he did, but he was so out of his head, he does not understand why he's in jail for it, that he thinks this is a conspiracy against him. I don't know if that aligns with what you're hearing.
It does, in the sense that it's almost like the way he was being described is kind of like this childlike naivete, kind of divorced from the reality of the situation, to a point that he kept describing as kind of puppy and childlike. And your description would fit with that in terms of this, like, it must be a conspiracy because I could not have done this willingly, intentionally, or in my own mind. Now, it's not at a level where I'm going to diagnose it, but I think one of the things, having dealt with Drew and talked to Drew over the years on many of these kinds of cases, there is this phenomena that happens with the prescription drugs for the disorder, the mental disorder, where the person who's taking them starts to feel like they're slowed down, like they're in molasses, like they're in a gray area or a fog, and they react to that. Now, you did, and DMZ did some reporting about, he was very concerned about the weight gain. Right. That's something I've seen before. I've seen that before, where they just feel like they've slowed down, like the metabolism is slowed down, like they're in a quagmire. And so then the reaction to that is kind of a meth, something to get them up, something to do that kind of pendulum swing that psychosis gets them into.
And that's what leads us into our next section, is the meth-fueled allegations. Because remember, when he got arrested, he was close by to, it's not MacArthur Park, it's the druggy area. What you call it? He was at Exposition Park, right? If anybody lives in LA, you guys know, I used to live close to MacArthur Park, and it's still like that, to my opinion, from what I know. But you go there to buy hard drugs. It's an open market for any drug you really want to go find. You want some angel dust, you want some PCP, you want some meth, you want a little crystal, you want some heroin. Like, we got it for you, right? So this is where it leads over into, he had a jacked up dose of medication, but by the way, he was also doing meth. Okay? Now again, I'm not sure if we have the blood report, and I'm not sure if they drew blood. But if they did, that's going to be real interesting for his trial when it comes up around. Because if they could prove he was on meth and it was just a meth-fueled, asshole Nick Reiner moment, as he always does, he's been doing this since a child. If it's one of those moments, he's going to go to jail for life, which is what he deserves. And I think that's what he's going to get. But, we'll see. But I do want to show you this interview that the Two Angry Men had posted, just about the park, about the area, talking to people who know the area well.
Is this the place that people come if they're looking for that? Like
I be over here every night.
every night? Now, Exposition Park obviously is lined with like USC. It's the stadiums. It's the museums. That doesn't deter people.
Don't because shit, you can find anything you're looking for.
Listen, I mean, where are people like actively like doing that, like grabbing that stuff? And does it make sense?
They doing it right now. You just gotta look around.
Like where? Like
Like this cracking on the
over here by the freeway?
They're right by the freeway. It's like she'll die right here.
Yeah.
Shit.
The encampments right there. And then what about by the school, like and the stadiums? Are they like on the other side?
That's everywhere, bro.
Everywhere. So at night it's a different world, is it?
Man, it's like Vegas at night around this big.
Really?
Everything lit up.
Well, I mean, are people? What can you find out here? I mean, there's like
Whatever you looking for, bro.
specifically like meth. You can get meth. You can get
You can get whatever you looking for, bro.
so, and this is known. This is well known.
I'm not gonna say I know what it is.
Yeah.
You do whatever you looking for.
Well, listen, man. Obviously, I'm curious. You know, have you ever seen this guy?